Peace, everyone, and welcome back, my cosmic loves. Today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be sharing my natal chart. Um, I want to share it. It's personal and it's also a foundational work of what I do here. And reading my own natal chart through the lens of ancestral, I'm going to be reading my own natal chart through the lens of ancestral astrology. And the reason I'm doing this because I want to show you how I read the charts. And also, I'm going to be reading other people's charts. I mean, it's fair for me to share my chart and the understanding of how I'm using it personally to navigate my journey, my path, and the things that I go through. So when we study, if you see me go back and forth again, my computer, my notes are here. When we study ancestral astrology, we're going through ancestral lines. We're talking about bloodlines. The chart becomes more than personal traits or predictions. It becomes a sacred blueprint, like I said before in the previous video, of memory, emotional intelligence, and spiritual assignments carried through the bloodline. Now, with that said, I want you to know you always have free will because I never want to put weight or a burden like, oh my God, I'm going to have to be the curse brick. I'm going to have to be, you don't have to be. Always remember ancestral line and ancestral lineage is a collective thing that's happening. And I'm going to show you how collectively this happens because not only am I going to read, I'm going for this video, I'm going to read my own. Then the next video, I'm going to do a companion reading. And the companion reading is me and my daughter because it's a collective work that's happening within the family foundation. And to show you my chart, then to show you her chart and how it's like a fluidity of things happening, and it goes to the next person to say, okay, now this is what you do and this is how you do it, because each of us are different individually, but cohesively we work together to for our family line, our family lineage to grow, from ancestors talking to us, whispering to us, and guiding us in our path. So let me go back now. And like I said, every house tells a story. Every house tells a story. I always told you the house, whatever house you're in, it tells you, it's like the room, it's like the place that you're going to do that work in. And it's for you to heal, for evolution. And when I come to say healing is an action word. Healing is a process, I believe. And the more you learn and the more you grow, you learn how to deal with things. Because I remember when I started this journey, my spiritual journey, I knew what I wanted to heal from. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, once I get over this hurdle, then I heal. But I realized healing is a process that happens in waves and in chapters, because there's always something coming back to remind you, but it's about the reaction that you have with it that tells you how far you've come, working and growing and evolving on that particular issue or situation. So I want you to know healing is definitely an evolving thing that happens throughout life. So, okay, now let's go back to the house, because I was talking about the houses, because like I said, the houses tell you this is the place where you're going to work at. This is the place that the work needs to be done and how it needs to be done and everything with the planets and the signs. So today I'm going to walk through my chart. In my chart, I'm going to go through my whole chart and that has signs and planets in it. Now, I want you to know, even if your house has an empty house, your house is never empty. It is basically the sign that is on that natal chart. It may not have the zodiac sign that's in the chart. It may not have a planet in it. It may not have like an actual like planet and sign in it, but every house is a sign, a zodiac sign, and pretty much a planet, to be honest with you, because each zodiac sign is a sign of planet. So therefore, even if it's empty, it's still important. It still brings beauty. It still tells you what to do and directs you. But within my chart, I'm going to go in and I'm going to speak of the different planets and signs that are in my chart that help me to navigate and give me some wisdom on what to work on and how to kind of walk in my path and the journey that I'm walking. So I'm going to start with my soul arrival. That's your first house. In my soul's voice, my third house, soul's roots, fourth house, soul's release, 12th, and soul's duties, your 10th house. and the future lineage of and the 11th house is the future lineage of the house. So I'm going to begin my conversation between the ancestors and the future bloodline. And that is, the 11th house is the conversation between the ancestors in the future bloodline, but the 12th house is your ancestral release, and that's kind of like a conversation too going on there. But it's your ancestors. It's your ancestors saying, "Hey, this is what I want you to put down. This is what I want you to release. This is what I want you to navigate in." So in my 12th house, was is ancestral astrology represents soul's release. Like I said, this is the house asking, what does the lineage need to finally lay down, to release, to let go. So in my chart, my 12th house holds Uranus and the moon in Scorpio. So it's Uranus and the moon in Scorpio. The moon represents, always remember the moon is emotional. Always remember the moon is your maternal line. That's your maternal line. Your maternal lineage is carried the emotion experience and the experiences through the generations. And Uranus again represents liberation and awakening. It's time to wake, y'all. It's the great awakener. And so when these energies comes together in the 12th house, it suggests that, for one, with Uranus being the awakener, the soul's work, and then the moon there, that's your emotional. You know, it's going to have to be emotion. It's some emotional intelligence, possibly emotional suppression that was there. And they're asking you not to be silent about that anymore, asking me not to be silent about it anymore. So it will involve liberating the lineage from emotional repression and probably generational grief. The moon holds the emotional memory of the ancestors. So therefore, my 12th house, I'm holding it within Scorpio. So like we said, Scorpio is the rebirth and transformation with Uranus there. They're going to ask me, hey, it's time that if you would like, because remember, this is a free will thing. But I always want you to know that ancestral astrology is an evolution for you to grow. But they're asking and they're telling me, like, hey, we would like for you to liberate and release the emotional suppression and silence of this lineage, of this maternal lineage. And so once that has happened, I want to share that it kind of helped me. I want to share what the 12th house helped me in, because I'm not going to lie to you, I was struggling emotionally, like how to emotionally, because I always said I'm an emotional intellect. I I use logic first before emotions, and I never understood that. Like, I always would try to be like, why me? Why would you do that to me when I have XYZ? Um, and I learned along the way, because sometimes I was silent about my hurt. Sometimes I was like passive aggressive about it, but I have become very vocal about it. I've become very vocal in asking questions. I've become very vocal in saying how I feel, and what a person, how I feel a person treated me, what they did to me, and that has helped me. And so I've looked at that upon the way also as me allowing myself to understand my 12th house, with 12th house with the moon and Scorpio Uranus in there. So that has helped me to realize, like, girl, this is about you speaking your truth. This is about you coming from behind, any curtains or anything, to say, oh, I'm not going to say anything, because that hurts when you don't say anything. You're suppressing yourself. You're hurting yourself. Speak your truth. Rather, it's in a journal, because you do have some people, even if you speak their truth, they're going to be like, I don't have responsibility for that. I didn't do that. But it's good for you to release. It's good for you to say, I've said what I've said, and allow yourself to grow, and then create boundaries. But I just wanted to share that with my 12th house. I think I'll talk about the other houses, and I'll wait for commentary later, because I don't want us to be in this video for too long. Okay, my first house. I love my first house, to be honest with you. My first house is is Neptune and Sagittarius in it. Now, first of all, I want to say with Neptune and Sagittarius, the first house again is your soul arrival. How are you coming in? How are you carnated? How are you coming through this bloodline? And with Sagittarius, Sagittarius is your knowledge, is seeker, who goes in depth for new knowledge, travel, and searches for evolution through growth through education. And Neptune to me is like the planet. It's so funny to me because when I see Neptune in charts, I'm like, oh, what is it paired with? Because Neptune, you can dive into an illusion and be lost and get lost. And because Neptune is kind of like, Neptune can be also looked in with addiction is addiction also too, but Neptune also can be breaking through. Because so with Sagittarius, I feel like with Sagittarius it's like asking me to be like, okay, what is the truth? What do I need to move from this illusion to see the truth? Like I said before, when I was reading, I was like, it makes me feel like I came up to the Wizard of Oz and I'm like, okay, who's really behind there? Tell me the truth about who's really behind there. And so that's what I liked about this position, because when I first saw the position, I was like, what's going to happen here? But I'm arriving through Neptune and Sagittarius, and that's a deep inner deep dive and drive to seek the truth beyond appearances. So I love that. I love that about that part of my chart, and I do, because sometimes I'm like, I'm feeling something different from so but with that being said, it's the energy of someone who cannot accept surface explanations, and I don't. I love to go deeper and deeper into knowledge. I try not to go into rabbit holes. Um, who's really like I'm wondering, why do the pattern exist? Who's pulling the string? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have sat many times and my kids laugh at me because I'm like, everyone has a story. Like, I'm a people watcher. So sometimes I can look at something and be like, well, that's different. And I'm like, what? And my kids be like, what do you mean? Or whomever. I'm like, what do you mean? And I would be like, look at I think everything has a purpose and reason in which you choose it and how you navigate it. I'm a people watcher. I believe everyone chooses options for a purpose and a reason. Think about it. I have a specific color I love when I'm doing certain things. I have a specific color I love um, when I'm out and about. I move a certain way. Everyone is so, but what I was saying, sometimes I sit and I'm a people watcher and I would say, that's interesting. And I was like, watch, look at what they have and how they move and it's just interesting because everybody has these certain patterns and these reasons. I say a method to their madness. It's not that they're mad, but they have a method that helps them walk through into their journeys and their path. I think the stories are beautiful and interesting. Sometimes I get to know the person, and sometimes I just sit there. It's like, how you sit there in the train station and you just see people moving. I think it's just beautiful art walking. But anyway, let me move on. But the placement with my placement, first house, soul arrival, I'm incarnating to be the seeker and the philosopher of what's really behind the illusion, what's from the actual appearance, the frontal appearance, as a display that you show me. This placement carries a spirit of seeker, philosopher, someone who feels called to uncover the deeper truth behind emotional suppression, grief, inherited pain, and to translate those truths into wisdoms for others. Now let's go to my third house. Third house is your communication. Third house is your soul's voice. Now in my soul house, I actually have Mercury in Capricorn with the Sun and Venus in Aquarius, which I am an Aquarius, connected to the house. So I'm questioning, what truth was I born to finally say out loud? And everybody has the truth to say out loud. Everyone has. So with my Mercury, first of all, always remember Mercury's the messenger. That's the planet. And remember, that's my ancestral messenger. That's my archetype. Ancestral messenger. My Capricorn brings structure, discipline, and responsibility. And so with Mercury and Capricorn suggests a lineage where communication is not casual. It carries a sense of duty. God, that's kind of heavy, but I do feel that way sometimes, because I have this exercising where I kind of tap my voice and I'm like, I'm here to speak truth. I'm here to heal, because I want this voice to be orchestrated to be a symphony to help people. I don't want it to damage. I don't want it to hurt in no type of way. I really don't. Never that course. But let's go back again. And the sun in Aquarius is kind of like a revolutionary spirit, intellect, the journey, and it brings awareness and to old systems. So, and I do sometimes. I have to admit I do things like that sometimes. But as to the ancestral lens, the sun can represent the ancestor who brings out the family matrix, the one who brings light to the ancestral matrix, and they're like, hey, this is what's been going on, especially with the voice communication, because your third house, you're communicating these things. And you have to remember with the 12th house, they're asking me, with the 12th house, they were asking me, like, you need to break this emotional suppression and grief of your family. So the third house, I'm going to be talking and I'm going to be saying, hey, did you realize this? Did you know this? And sometimes bring about family lineage stories and be like, tell me. And may even break some tales. I'm like, did you really think about that? Do you think it went that way? How, and I have done that before because I've been following my ancestral lineage and I've been following my family of who, what, why, and where lately. But with that, let's go back to my chart. With Venus in Aquarius, this communication becomes an information, not just information, but connection. Venus expands the beauty and wisdom of storytelling. And I love to tell a good story, but I love to have, like, learn from the story and evolve from it. So together, these places reflect a messenger lineage. So I can be a messenger, I can be a griot, I can be a storyteller. Is what my will and how I'm navigating that. And almost like a griot, someone carries the stories of ancestors and speak them into who in the world, so they are not forgotten. And sometimes I always remember someone saying people die twice, and that's the day that they die and the day that you stop saying their name. And I feel like since I've been doing ancestral astrology and I've been going back looking at my family, like me and my family members talk more about the memories, and we talk about the things that they knew, and I may have not known because I'm descendant, I'm future, so I don't know stories. And but I'm learning about my grandfather's side and where they're from, and I'm still searching about my grandmother's side because we know everything about my grandfather's side. They're Guatemala, South Carolina, but we're still searching for my grandmother's side and everything. But it's interesting to hear the stories of not only my grandfather's side, but the stories of my grandmother and who she was and everything, and my uncles. But that's the third house, the soul communication, talking and voicing out what needs to be spoken out. Now let's move to the fourth house. The fourth house is the root. Like I said, I love the fourth house because the fourth house is your family root. The fourth house is your maternal lineage. The fourth house is the family land and everything. I don't know why the fourth house always makes me think about, you can say slavery or you can say prisoners of wars, because either one was unfair. But it makes me think about how we came here and what happened to us in our stories. Sometimes it helps us to say where we're from and what we went through. I feel the way that's the way it is with fourth house, because it's the soul's root. If it's the soul's root, it's the foundation that we came upon from our moms. It's the foundation we came on from our land. In my fourth house, this is like I said, this is maternal lineage. This is land memory. This is the emotional foundation. And my chart is fortune. And remember, I tell you what I used points. Fortune is a point. Fortune is not a planet or anything. It's like a point, turning point of of how should I say, your life going in coming together when you meet a point. And my point came in to sit in with Aquarius. So in the fourth house, my fortune is described as a point of flow, a piece where life begins with purpose. With Aquarius, it suggests that expansion of my life path may come through illuminating ancestral memory and collective healing, because it's family there. Aquarius bring light to systems, communities, and collective knowledge. So this place makes me feel like a remember to the born memory of the lineage to reconnect with ancestral stories tied to land, culture, and identity. Like I said, that's the root. That's the root of of your family, where you came from, where you're from, and through that memory to create expansion, not just for myself but for others. Now, when fortune and Aquarius come, it makes me feel like you have to speak about the land, you have to speak about where you're from, you have to speak about your ancestral lineage or blood, because that is going to help you flow. That's going to help, that's kind of help you be free and flow into what you're really, it kind of like work into a purposeful type of thing for me. And I'm doing that right now in with my ancestral astrology, because I'm not only I'm going to be talking about myself, I'm going to be talking about others and sharing. Now let's move to the fifth house. My fifth house, soul spark. This is where creativity, joy, and expression live. But it's also about where our ancestors were not able to hide. They had to hide their joy. They had to hide. They couldn't. They were denied, where they were denied things in the lineage. And my chart actually is my chart actually has my south node. Now remember, south node is basically, this is something you've already mastered or something you've already done. That's something you already done, and we're actually to move forward. And with my south node, it's actually Aries, and it's represent, like I said, south node is your karmic memory. Aries represents survival and independence. So within that fifth house, it made me feel as if like, what were we do? We were denied, for their survival, for strength and self-reliance, sometimes at the expense of joy and creativity. Like I said, again, we cannot express things and express it. So the karmic past may carry themes of fighting to survive rather than living to experience joy. So it may have been a struggle to survive. It may have been freedom. Freedom was not ours. Freedoms were not ours. And ugh, I hate. It just reminds me, like, imagine the things that my ancestors had to go through. Because with my grandmother, she didn't speak, but we knew of the civil rights movement in which she endured and what she experienced. So sometimes I think about that. But again, let's go back to the fifth house. The fifth house, soul, spark, creativity, joy, expression. What we had to deny is ask the soul to move toward partnership, balance, and community healing. The evolutionary direction of lineage is not isolation, it's connection and collective harmony. So in that house is asking me to like move in, like I've done collective harmony. Hold on, let's go back, because my 11th house actually is my north node in Libra, and that's the community. So I apologize. The karmic past was like fighting to survive rather than living to experience the joy. In the 11th house, that's where it asks me like, as a collective, I need to bring justice and balance in with community, and we can experience that joy together, and bring harmony and evolve the direction of our lineage and not isolation. So it may have been a fight that we had within our lineage that we didn't collectively share with other people. We just was doing it just like, I'm going to get my freedom, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to do this. And it's easy to get in that sometimes, but in my chart is asking me like, let's do collective work, let's do community work and move forward in that, in which I agree, because the more numbers, the more powers. It's always beautiful to have more numbers, more powers, more family, more connection, more knowledge with communication, and with people. So my fifth house, soul spark, and my 11th house is like, yeah, you did it you were doing it, carrying on your own, but your 11th house is asking like, hey, let's bring some community, let's bring some harmony with community. So that's where we're gonna go. My favorite house, to be honest with you, is my sixth house, because it's house of repair. And when I broke that house down, I was like, oh, it makes sense. But it's house of repair is where the daily practices of healing is at. And my sixth house actually has Chiron and Taurus in it. So Chiron is the wounded healer. And I told you, Chiron reveals ancestral pain. It reveals the ancestral pain and how it can become sacred. And remember, I always tell you, your chart holds the wound and it holds the healing. My wound is the wound can. I don't want to talk too much because I want to wait till afterwards, because it's so. Let me hold that. And Taurus, let's go back to, because I remember my sixth house is Chiron and Taurus. So Taurus, it represents stability, abundance, and connection to the earth. So the healing work is security and grounding and self-worth. So what is so crazy is that I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Um, it means that every day I would need to do a routine, a ritual practice, a sort, some sort to help me. Because with the 12th house, when the 12th house says you have emotions with Scorpio and Uranus, those are bone memories. Those are bone memories of my bone. Those are memories my ancestor passed down to me. So my 6th house is telling me this is how you heal that part of it. You heal that part of it by daily rituals, by and it can't, and the daily rituals they want me to do is your ancestral rituals, things that has been passed on, things that has been part of my lineage, my community. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Gala Geechee. So things that has been passed on from my lineage. So there are some things I had to go back and research and be like, okay, well, what did we do? How did we do it? And and I researched some of those things and I implemented not only with the past of my my family, my ancestors who had what they did, but with the things now that we do. And that's, so like I said, it's rooted in ancestral culture, tradition, and personal value. So one of the things, like for instance, for my daily practice is grounding your body. That's like meditation. Also some beautiful good tea. I love to mix different herbs to make some good tea. I love to do not only that, do tarot cards, and also Reiki. It's so many, it's a lot different. I don't, because some days I will do one thing and then another day I will be doing something totally different. Even burning my herbs, like burning your sage, making herbal mix for just to even burn on the charcoal and meditate and pray and things like that. So that's like a everyday kind of like a release of the stories, a release to heal and to grow and to evolve. So that's my 6th house. I love that about my 6th house because I was wondering, I was like, well, I would do things, but I'm like, I still don't feel, I gotta move the energy. I gotta move energy. And that's another way for me to move energy and to transmute energy into something that would help me for my higher self. Okay, now let's go to the 8th house. My 8th house is the soul contract. It represents soul contract. It represents the ancestral inheritance, secrets, and transformation. Where transformation is. In my chart, it is Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, sits alongside Vertex and Lilith in Cancer. Jupiter expand wisdom. So that's my ancestral wisdom. And Gemini is communicate, messenger, intellect. So this place would suggest expansions of wisdom through speaking about emotional legacy and hidden stories. So I go back to my 12th house. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to heal it. This is how I'm going to release the patterns of my ancestors, of what was hurting them, what was, the grief that was in their lineage that they want to release. Now, Lilith in Cancer, that often show reveals lineage was silence. And again, that Cancer is mother. That's another mother line. That's another called mysticism and care and love when it comes to Cancer. But like again, I say it could, Cancer would relate to the mother line, emotional abandonment or suppressed vulnerability. And with the vertex of Cancer, they're faded turning points. Because remember, I said vertex is fading turning points. That's for me to actually tune in. That's for me to say that's a part of the healing. That's for me to say, oh, okay, this is my karmic doorway where my lineage encounter situations that force emotional truth into surface. And I don't want you to think like it's like a hard, like, oh, you got to do this, oh, you got to do that. It's more, I know for me it came in the form of a relationship, of like relationships in my life, because you think it's just that one thing, but it's many other things. But that main relationship may help me to thread through other relationships and speak of for my emotional evolution, for my emotional growth. Um, but it allows you to be vulnerable and become necessary for healing. And I love that happened. It helped me to see some things through my life that I could go back and be like, oh, now I see. And sometimes looking back at things and seeing things and comparing them to your chart, you're like, wow, oh, okay, I see why that happened, how that did happen, how that showed up. Let's move to the ninth house, the soul's belief. The ninth house asks, what beliefs must you evolve from that lineage? Um, and mine is Mars, and it sits in Cancer. Now I struggled with that because I was like, wait a minute, Mars is ancestor warrior, and Cancer like is emotions. So what is that telling me? I'm going to be passive aggressive about this. I'm not going to have to know how to move this. And remember, your planets and your signs are always energy for you to transmute. It's always energy for you to transmute. It's for you to work with. It's for you to evolve with and grow with. And so with Cancer and Mars, like I said, Mars is the ancestral warrior. Cancer represents emotional safety and home. My evolution of my lineage involved redefining the strength, moving away from emotional suppression, and instead embracing vulnerability and empath and nurturing as a form of power. So I would use my emotional power, my emotional strength, my emotional intelligence to help grow and to speak. Like, and when I say that, that's like, again, speaking my truth of how I feel, speaking my truth and showing my love. And it's like Mars in Cancer gives me energy and allows me to transmute. Like, okay, if I felt I was not not treated right, or I didn't speak right in another relationship, I can carry it to another relationship and correct that and say, hey, this is how I feel. This is where I want to go. But it helps me to go through my relationship and speak my truth and allow me to be like, well, I can be this way. I can be emotional. I can, instead of like, I don't want to show my emotions, because a lot of people sometimes believe crying is weakness. It's not weakness. It's a refresher. It's a cleansing. It's a releasing. Always remember, water is healing. Even when it's coming from us, from our cries, it's our truth, and it's us releasing what no longer has what, and it can be enjoyed too. So always know it's healing. It's purposeful. It's beautiful when crying. But let's go to the 10th house, soul's duty. This is your ancestral lineage. This is where the house says, what responsibility did your lineage call you to do? Depend on their name. That's like, what's the family lineage? What's the family pass down? So in my 10th house is Saturn and in Leo. Saturn represents the ancestral elder and karmic responsibility. Leo is creativity, leadership, and the inner child. And I also put with Leo the light bearer, because Leo brings light to things. Leo shows. That's why when you see a lot of people Leo, and have Leo either in Saturn, or even their creativity part, they are on the stage or set. So because they're here to show and bring light to things, like actors, actresses singing, they're here to bring light to certain issues and things like that. But Leo actually leads with wisdom. Leo actually leads with heart also too. It's create space where emotional legacy. Well, for my space, let's go back to my space, and as we go back to Leo. But as we go back, oh yeah, in my chart, Saturn retrograde sits in Leo. So, and when it says retrograde, that's coming back again. That's coming back. And so I always say retrograde, that's like you coming back. Not you yourself coming back, or you can think of it, but it's like, okay, your family has tried this and now they're asking you to come try again to see. But I don't know if a lot of y'all do tarot cards, but the sun card is like is the sun card, is the sun in the big background, and it's a child on a horse carrying a red flag, and that's, to me, sometimes represent inner child. And sometimes even with Saturn and Leo, in that space, it could be someone like, can you see me? Like, they feel like they have to put a show on for your love. They feel like they have to show you, and for you and be presented in this big way for you to say you deserve love. Leo represents that also too. So it does remind you to heal the inner child. And I think each of us have an inner child that needs to be healed. Each of us need to have to go inward to kind of like, oh, okay, and deal with that emotion, deal with that hurt and pain that we need to heal. because like I said, Leo is like, I felt unseen. I didn't feel like enough. I didn't feel like enough for someone to love me. So in order for them to love me, I have to show how great I am, how I deserve it. And I could definitely see that in plenty of my relationships. So, but with Saturn and Leo, um, I can turn that into, once healed, I can turn that into wisdom. I can turn that into um, being able to say, okay, with this, I'm healing. I'm coming through with maturity, a way to maturity, of maturity, because you have to remember, Saturn is maturity, is you healing in that inner child and coming through and having something to say after healing that inner child and sharing it with the world. And not only with you don't have to share with the world, but sharing it with your family and others. I'm like, hey, this is how I help. This is what helps me, and this is how I was guided to to evolve and to grow with wisdom. And the last house for me is my 11th house, soul future line. My soul future line is like, what you're gonna, what are you going to help with the descendants? What are you going to help with the community? Because I call that community line. And in my soul future line, I have Pluto in Libra with my North Node. I thought that was so wild, but I already told you the North Node was in Libra. That's that community, bringing community forth to help heal, bringing community forth to help guide and evolve, in the joy that we once lost and the freedom that we once lost. But again, Pluto is transformation and rebirth. That's your uh, ancestral lineage, your ancestral archetype as the rebirth, the ancestral rebirth. And Libra presents balance and partnership. And with those coming together, those involve the future of the lineage, transforming karmic relationship patterns and creating collective harmony. Not walking alone, but evolving together through community partnership and shared healing. So it reminds me again that I'm not alone, and that I can go collectively and be a part of healing, be a part of evolving, and that's a beautiful thing. So in that's the end of my natal chart, and in that, as I said before, we are a continuation of a story that began a generation before us. And we are also turning point where those stories can change. Sometimes the work to do this is not just our lifetime, for another lifetime, and other people to help us. And this is a sacred blueprint for all of us. And as I said before, my chart helped me so much in who I am and what I'm becoming, because there's so many things I'm doing right now that I'm like, I wasn't sure, but after looking at my chart, I realized what my soul's path, my soul's journey is, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is where I am. And I kind of understand myself a whole lot more better than previously before. Because like I said, with that 12th house, that 12th house helped me to heal. That 12th and that 6th house connected to say, this is you holding grief. This is you holding bone memory. This is you holding emotional suppression. And the 6th house is like, this is how you're going to heal it. Because this is the wound and this is the healing. It comes here. It comes here. And not only, and also within the 8th house, because as I said, 8th house is ancestral patterning. That's another one telling you, that's another space and place that's telling you, this is how you move forward. This is how you move forward with the patterns that does not hold anything for you and your family no longer. So I want you always to look at your ancestral astrology chart as a healing space, as a growth space, as an evolution space for you to carry and to move with. Now, that is the end of this video, and I thank you for actually allowing me time to be spent with me. I hope you join me in the next video. That will be my companion reading with my daughter. We're going to compare my chart and my daughter's chart together, and we're going to speak about it and how the generation evolves within different lineage and do generation and do lineage. But anyway, until next time, Cosmic Love, I will see you again, and have much peace and blessings in your home and your life. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye now.